Modern neuroscience tells us that instead of writing down things we're thankful for in a journal, simply listening to and connecting with positive stories about people can better help shift our immune system into balance. It can help us move from a state of constant anxiety towards motivation. So 3 days a week, I'm sharing stories we can feel good about. Mondays, you'll hear a story from the past to be thankful for. On Wednesdays, I'll tell an inspiring story from the present. And Fridays, you'll head into the weekend with a story to keep you optimistic about our future. Hi, I'm Chris. Welcome to My Good 3. All right, happy Friday. Are you cynical? I mean, sometimes at least. We all get burned by people, and it can snowball. It's natural to feel that way. And with the state of politics and the way the media has learned to profit from cynical headlines, many of us have become cynical even without realizing it. Well, I'm learning there is good news for people like me. Being cynical isn't permanent. In fact, becoming less cynical can happen in a short period of time. And from what I understand, it will absolutely change your life for the better. I'd like to start by identifying the difference between pessimism and cynicism. Pessimism is when you expect the worst in situations. It's a lot like despair and hopelessness, and we know when we're feeling that way. Cynicism, more or less, is when you expect the worst in people. Now, pessimism isn't pretty, and it can be very detrimental to your life, but with cynicism, it's sneakier. You can think that you're happy, but actually, it's unknowingly leading you to desolation. What makes it difficult is the road to cynicism is a fairly easy road to find. When you get hurt by people enough times, which is bound to happen, a natural response is to protect yourself from it happening again. And cynicism is a wonderful barrier. It seems like it protects you. The problem is, cynicism is like carbon monoxide, a silent killer. The statistics? Cynics are 3 times more likely to develop dementia, 5 times more likely to develop depression. And when it comes to careers, cynics tend to make less money and have a lower career trajectory. So, are you cynical? According to Jamil Zaki, director of the Social Neuroscience Lab at Stanford University, whether or not you agree with these 3 statements is a quick way to find out. 1. No one cares much about what happens to me. 2. Most people dislike helping others. And 3. Most people are honest, but mainly because of their fear of getting caught. Professor Zaki says, if you disagree with all 3 of those statements, you're probably not a cynic. If you agree with one of those 3, you're moderately cynical. And if you agree with 2 or more, you're on the high end of cynical. Now for the good news. Cynicism is not a fixed trait. If you scored as cynical, there are things you can do to adjust the way you see the world, and by doing these things, you can change course fairly quickly. According to Zaki's new book, Hope for Cynics: The Surprising Science of Human Goodness, he outlines 3 practices that can help you break out from being cynical. First, he says to stop glamorizing the idea of cynicism. Being negative doesn't make you right or moral, and it doesn't keep you safe. Second, try to be more like a scientist. Search for evidence to prove or disprove your conclusions about people and situations. Try to consistently ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And third, give people a chance to show you who they are. Before assuming the worst about someone, give them a chance to prove you wrong or right. Zaki says, we underestimate how trustworthy, generous, friendly, and open-minded people are. From my standpoint, I think the biggest mistake people make is in thinking that in order to no longer be a cynic, they have to suddenly become an optimist. And when I hear optimist, I tend to think of someone who's naive and easily exploited. It's not one or the other. You don't need to suddenly be an idealist to stop being a cynic. That distinction helps me. There are always going to be questionable people with not so great intentions out there, and we need to remove ourselves from those people as much as possible. But by giving in and letting them corrupt our way of seeing the world, a world that, believe it or not, is filled with wonderful people, we're only hurting ourselves. As we start our weekends, it's a great opportunity to take inventory of how cynical we are. And if we're high on the scale, there are real things we can do to adjust and see the world in a healthier way, all without losing our edge. This in turn will improve our health and our likelihood for career and personal success. And that thought alone gives me hope. A while ago, I came across a quote from Tom Hanks, one of my favorite celebrities. To me, he seems like someone who's grounded, who lives in reality, but at the same time, he's still positive and hopeful about people in our future. What he said was, "I understand the concept of optimism, but I think with me, what you get is a lack of cynicism." Thank you for listening. I realize this podcast won't be successful without your help. So if you'd like to rate it, or better yet, review it, wherever you get your podcasts, that would really help. And if you're on Instagram, go to @mygood3, THREE, to vote each episode up or down. I'm also excited to read more Good 3 stories from listeners. So just go to our website, mygood3.com, and submit a story of your own from the past, present, or future, or all three, and maybe I'll use it in an episode. Thanks again. Here's to hoping My Good 3 can set the stage for your good week.